It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence. Me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona. Should we be afeared? I don't know. Some people should. There's a story. It's got me going. Let me read this to you. I want to tell you what's going on. Will Grigg has reported this on Lou Rockwell. We got up on the top of Freedom's Phoenix right now. How I found it is I got an email from Mark Victor, criminal defense attorney here. You see his stuff all over Freedom's Phoenix. And, you know, let me tell you why I advertise for Mark Vickers, for when I need him for that trial, that criminal trial. That's coming. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's coming. And we've worked together for a decade and a half on this stuff. My concern is that there is, as the big bad guys get big bad, they get orders from the bigger, badder guys up top, and they don't question orders. They just do. And, when they do bad things, and we'll get into more details about this, but I just want to read this one part. Will Grigg put it's like continued of the murder of Jose Garina, and I just want to read this to you real quick. The SWAT team that murdered Iraq War veteran Jose Garina in his home near Tucson kept a medical team waiting for more than an hour as the 26-year-old father bled to death and then sent them away. The medical guys, reports Tucson ABC affiliate KGUN. Jose's wife, Vanessa, called 911 after seeing a knot of armed men approaching her home. She insists that the assailants never identified themselves as police. After waking up her husband, who had just finished a graveyard shift at a local mine, Vanessa hid in a closet with her 4-year-old son. Jose grabbed his AR-15 and confronted the invaders, who burst through the door and started shooting. The intruders fired a total of 71 shots. The assailants initially claimed that Jose had fired on them, an entirely appropriate response to a criminal invasion of his home, but later admitted that the husband and father was killed before he could pull the trigger. After the fatal fusillade, I don't know what that word means, but exchange of gunfire, Vanessa pleaded with the SWAT team to call for medical assistance. Rather than doing so, they held help at bay until their victim was dead, supposedly in the interest of security. KGUN, the television station, requested the emergency call records for Drexel Heights Fire Rescue. The 911 call center notified Drexel Heights at 9:43 a.m. A unit arrived just 2 minutes later at 9:45, but deputies told rescue workers to stay put. That's standard to be sure. They won't walk into danger, but they waited until 10:59, just over an hour later, then heard the radio call code 900. That means they were no longer needed because the person was dead. 1 hour and 14 minutes went by. Drexel Heights indicates they were never allowed to even examine Jose Garina. The home invasion was supposedly intended to enforce a search warrant in a narcotics investigation. Neither Jose nor Vanessa had a criminal history, and no narcotics were found at his home. So, what might we do about this? The reason I got this in an email sent out to a lot of people, Mark Victor's like, man, I wish that family would call me. So I sent an email to Will Griggs, say, hey, man, you got any contact with these people or whatever, and we'll make some inquiries and say, hey, hello, somebody up here wants to do some damage on the bad guys. You know what I mean? So I put this out. You go to Lou Rockwell blog right now. It's The Murder of Jose, Jose, Guerrina, Guerena. Hopefully that's how you say it. Now, the thing is that this is that, you know, what a SWAT team in the morning comes busting in, search warrant, no drugs, no criminal history, no SWAT team, you know, based on what? This happens a lot. And when it happens in Arizona, ooh, might we do something about it? I think we should. So I get that off my chest, but I'm not done with it. I mean, we gotta follow this story. We gotta find out, make sure they got representation or something doing it, because it's illegal for Mark to contact these people, or even people to kind of do it in a straw polling kind of. No, these people have to contact him. Now, how do we do that? I don't know. We just put the word out and talk to people that we know down in Tucson, let them know whatever. Here's a car, something. I mean, you know, you got to be careful how you do this, because Mark can get in trouble, because, you know, he's not an ambulance chaser. He's a bad cop chaser. That's what he does. Oh, we got all kinds of good like this going on. So he's well known for that. So that's what we're doing. And might this make it into Freedom's Phoenix magazine? We're getting steps closer, man. I tell you, this has been a bigger thing than you know, you would think it. You know, hey, I do the file, here it is, download it. Oh, but you know, Apple and iTunes and Adobe, they got all their little stuff. They want to make sure they get their cut. You know what I mean? So I wanted to go ahead and share with you for the first time the cover of Freedom's Phoenix. Now I'm going to see here I have it here. All right, now those of you that are watching on video, I want you to go ahead and see. We'll refresh this and you'll see. This is the cover. It's an animated cover. Oh, ain't that pretty? Yeah, those of you that aren't online, you don't know, do you? Yeah, let me go ahead and refresh that again. You get an idea how this is looking. Now, what happens is the front cover for the magazine is going to be a continued, what do you call it, graphic novel cell, a front page of Scott Beazer. Now, Scott Beazer does a lot of great freedom work. You probably recognize a bunch of his stuff. He does novel covers for Vince Suprenowitz and L. Neil Smith and a lot of other people. He had Big Head Press. He has a lot of great artwork. And in fact, he's the one that worked with me to design the new Freedom's Phoenix logo. There is a plan for that. It involves a storyline, an animation. And so there's so much. This will be the first of a series of covers that will play out the storyline. So you'll start being able to download this soon. Now, we just got all of the software downloaded onto the computers that we needed last night. Now we're having to get in the interfaces, and the guys are working together and making sure it's all pretty and done. Tiger's doing the back end so we could do a subscriber thing that you get access to this magazine through Freedom's Phoenix. We have a lot of the great authors and so on, but there are other services, and we'll talk about. Greg Tivnan's still in. He's leaving today to go down to Tucson. He's going to be there for his daughter's graduation, but you know, he's hanging, and we'll talk a little bit because he had a lot of questions. Ernie, why is it? And who the heck's this Frosty Woldridge guy? So we'll talk about that and why these guys got my, you know, resident communists and neocons and all that kind of stuff on Freedom's Phoenix for a reason. And we'll talk about that. But I want to make sure that you understand Freedom's Phoenix magazine is a totally different animal. It has a whole lot of other interfaces that we're doing and getting into the future, because we grew up on Star Trek where they were walking around with these tablets back in the late 60s. And we're just thinking, you know, someday they're going to do it. And what do we have on top of Freedom's Phoenix right now? Okay. You go to the top of Freedom's Phoenix and you'll see there's a X Prize that they're doing. X Prize Foundation offers $10 million for a tricorder to diagnose patients. It's all cool. We get warp drive and teleportation and replicators, and we're done, man. We got Star Trek here. Ooh, we were ready for the tablets a-coming. Freedom's Phoenix, and it's going to be by subscription. We're going to talk about it, and there's a lot more news coming on, man. Got me amped up today. We'll be right back.